In that moment, he saw something crack within her, a flicker of vulnerability that tore at his heart. But instead of reaching out, he pulled away again, his mind clouded by insecurities and accusations. Days passed, and Ethan's mental state deteriorated. He confided in his closest friends, displaying the facade of a wronged husband while hiding his own infidelity. "She's different," he murmured, feeling the weight of his choices choking him. "I think she's cheating on me." Some friends urged caution, imploring him to investigate thoroughly before jumping to conclusions. But Deacon Rick, a man filled with his own bitterness, fed the flames of doubt. "You might be onto something, Pastor. There's no smoke without fire," he promised, slyly aiming to deepen the chasm of distrust. And that's when the rumors began to swirl. Deacon Rick concocted a scandalous video, piecing together stolen glimpses of Rachel with another man, the kind of evidence that could throw their lives into chaos. The whispers grew louder, spreading through the congregation at lightning speed, poisoning minds that had once revered Rachel as a stalwart figure of grace and virtue. One fateful evening, a church member pulled Ethan aside after a prayer meeting. "Pastor, you need to see this," he said, eyes wide with urgency. Ethan's heart raced as he watched the footage, a more than damning rendition of Rachel sharing laughter with the unknown man. His breath hitched. He didn't care that it looked manipulated. All he needed to see was the betrayal unraveling right before him. Instead of confronting Rachel, he devised a plan for revenge, a spectacle that would unveil her sins publicly. Sunday service would be the grand stage for his revelation. In front of their entire congregation, he would hold nothing back. He would expose her as a fraud before God and all. Sunday morning arrived, the church packed as usual. Ethan stood behind the pulpit, gripped by a tumult of emotions. He took a deep breath and prepared to deliver a sermon unlike any he had ever preached. As he began, his voice was steady but laced with an underlying tension. He spoke of faith, love, redemption. Then, as he built to a climax in his sermon, he halted suddenly. "Today, I must speak of that which corrupts even the strongest of us. A secret has been festering in our midst." Gasps echoed through the pews. He played the video, and the moment it flickered to life, his world shattered. Rachel's face appeared, but something was off. Doubt crept in. He spotted an undeniable truth in her eyes. The look of betrayal he thought she had thrust upon him was reflected back at him. "Ethan, please," Rachel cried. "That video is a lie." "Keep watching," he shouted. But the storm in his mind was raging, and then clarity struck. He had been wrong. "Stop the video." Ethan's voice trembled. "I've allowed jealousy and deceit to blind me. In my desire to expose betrayal, I became the betrayer." Rachel's eyes welled with tears. "Ethan, I love you. I thought we were falling apart together, but I see now that we need to heal." As they embraced before the congregation, the moment marked not just reconciliation, but the beginning of a long journey, one that would test their resolve, their faith, and the hidden truths yet to emerge. Trust. It's the foundation of every relationship, especially in marriage. But what happens when that trust is shattered? When the one who preaches loyalty is the same person who breaks those vows? Pastor Ethan Hayes, a beloved figure in his community, finds himself at the center of a scandal that threatens to unravel his entire life. Ethan's wife, Rachel Hayes, is the dedicated partner who has stood by his side through every sermon, every challenge, supporting him and their young family. She believes in the man she married, proud to be the calm in the storm that is pastoral life. But all of that changes in a single, fateful moment during a Sunday service, where revelations of betrayal explode before an unsuspecting congregation. Imagine being in the pews, listening to words of wisdom, only to witness a shocking revelation that turns your world upside down. Rachel, lovingly sitting in the front row, suddenly feels like the floor has fallen out from beneath her. Ethan is not just a man of faith, he's a man with secrets, intimate relationships that compromise everything they've built together. the whispers begin to circulate. The reality of Ethan's secret affair with Sarah, a vibrant member of their church, becomes impossible to ignore. She was a welcoming face, one who shared fellowship with Rachel every Sunday morning, and now she is the very woman who threatens to tear apart the life they've created. While Ethan speaks about faith and love from the pulpit, he is leading a double life that will dismantle his family. Ethan had always been the anchor for the community. He wasn't just a pastor, he was the counselor, the emotional support for families in distress, and the moral compass guiding them through darkness. His wife, Rachel, served beside him diligently, pouring her soul into the church, making sure everything appeared perfect. But beneath that facade, something was festering, an inkling of discontent, a yearning for something more profound than the life they had. It began innocently enough. Late nights at the church office turned into stolen moments with Sarah. It was a brush of hands, a shared laugh, a lingering gaze, but it escalated from there. Ethan found himself ensnared, caught in a web he had spun unknowingly. Even as he recounted the importance of fidelity and commitment to others, he was simultaneously betraying his own. Then there was Hannah Lewis, the girl from Ethan's past who had captivated him long before he embraced his calling. Hannah was a ghost haunting his memories, a chapter from a life he left behind when he stepped into the role of a pastor. She had been his first love, carefree, ambitious, and radiant, igniting dreams of a future filled with endless possibilities. When she unexpectedly reappeared in his life, Ethan's heart raced. He stood at a crossroads between the past and the present, teetering on the edge of oblivion. Little did he know, Rachel was also hiding a truth of her own, a truth that would shatter their world further. As weeks went by, Rachel's behavior shifted. The woman who used to be the backbone of their family became distant, increasingly wrapped in her own silence. The late hours she spent at the office began to stretch longer, and Ethan could sense something was amiss. He yearned for connection, for reconciliation, but every time he reached for her, she seemed to pull away. "Rachel, are you okay?" he asked one evening, concern etching into his features. She dismissed him, claiming exhaustion from work, but he sensed the barrier. It was a wall he could literally feel, the space between them growing wider. One fateful evening, after he had endured another night of silence, Ethan called the office only to hear Rachel wasn't there. A gnawing suspicion crept into his gut. His thoughts raced. Could Rachel be the one straying? Could all this distance be her form of escapism? As paranoia clutched his mind, he began to obsessively monitor her whereabouts, compiling a mental list of every deviation from her usual routine. Meanwhile, he drowned deeper into his own vices. The very woman he shouldn't have been with, Sarah, became more alluring with each passing day. Their innocent meetings quickly escalated into dinners, intimate conversations, and the thrill of deceit. Ethan rationalized his betrayal, convincing himself that Rachel's supposed infidelity justified his actions. It became a corrosive cycle of doubt, guilt, and sin, drawing him deeper into darkness. One evening, overcome with rage and confusion, Rachel confronted Ethan. "What's going on with you? You've been a different person lately," she exclaimed. He could feel the weight of her words, the tension thick in the air. "Nothing's wrong, Rachel. You're the one who keeps avoiding me," he shot back, voice rising. Rachel's eyes narrowed, hurt flashing across her face. "I've done nothing but support you. Why don't you trust me?" she said, voice trembling.